When it comes to great leaders in biblical history, Moses occupies a privileged place. His life is one of the most fascinating. From prince in Egypt to liberator of Israel, from shepherd to prophet of God. As prophesied in Deuteronomy 18:15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your brothers, you shall listen to him. Moses was a precursor to the great leaders sent by God. Today we will learn about this man who led an entire people to freedom and whose legacy lives on to this day. Moses lived around the 13th century BC at a time when the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt. Ancient Egyptian documents such as the Ipuwer Papyrus describe plagues and calamities reminiscent of those narrated in Exodus. The oppression of the Hebrew people was foretold in Genesis 15:13. Then the Lord said to Abram, "Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land and will be slaves there and will oppress them for 400 years." Although historians dispute the exact dates, there is no doubt that the figure of Moses profoundly influenced Jewish tradition and human history. Rescued from the waters of the Nile as a baby, Moses was raised in Pharaoh's court as a prince, but upon discovering his Hebrew roots, he decided to leave the luxuries of Egypt to answer God's call. Through the burning bush, he received the mission to free Israel from slavery, as recounted in Exodus 3:7-8. The Lord said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their oppressors, for I know their distresses. Therefore, I have come down to deliver them." With God's help, he faced Pharaoh, saw the 10 plagues, led the people through the Red Sea, and received the tablets of the law, the 10 commandments on Mount Sinai. Moses was not perfect. He doubted, feared, and even made mistakes. But his life teaches us that God can use ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary purposes. His role as mediator between God and the people foreshadows a greater Savior, as hinted in Numbers 12:7-8. "Not so with my servant Moses, for he is faithful in all my house. I will speak with him face to face." His example speaks to us of faith, obedience, and perseverance. Just as he led Israel to the promised land, we too are called to walk toward a life of spiritual freedom. Moses' legacy transcends religions. For Jews, Christians, and even Islam, he is considered a prophet and legislator. His influence extends to the culture, law, and morality of much of the West. In fact, many modern legal codes are inspired by principles given through Moses, as reflected in Exodus 22:3. "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." These commandments laid the foundation for ethics and justice in civilization. Moses was a man who, trusting in God, transformed the history of his people and left teachings that still illuminate our lives. His story reminds us that when we follow God's call, we are capable of facing any Pharaoh who rises against us, trusting in the promise of Exodus 15:2. "The Lord is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation." In the next chapter, we will discover the life of David, the young shepherd who became king and whose heart was after God's own heart. For more biblical content, I invite you to visit our website, biblianaweb.com, where you'll find studies, reflections, and resources to strengthen your faith every day.